Okay, and before you go, Grease and Josie and the Pussycats, go off, Queen.
Why do you do what you do to me, baby? Shaking my confidence, driving me crazy.
It's my favorite movie of all time.
Pal, me too.
He broke up with me.
And now my life is over.
I know it sucks. Eat some pie.
I'm disgusting.
Edmund, I have to ask, it's a real testament to your acting how much I hated Jacob, but what was your window of empathy into playing such a villainous character in someone else's story?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that for Jacob, the thing that I had to understand about him is, well, he doesn't have things that I have, that I like to think that I have, which is a certain level of empathy. So I had to sort of take certain things away. But on top of that, he has this incredible ambition, which is something that I can understand. I think most of us can, to make this musical and to make it so great. And it's everything he's ever dreamed of. So a lot of what he does to Laura, or the breakup and all the mistreatment, comes from his desire to be the greatest musical theater writer director that he can be. And I think that, that's something I can understand. Not hurting people in the process, but like pursuing something that I really care about. Yeah.
Kayla, you were also a producer on this film. So in order to benefit other women who might be looking to create their own films and stories, can you share one challenging aspect from production that you were able to overcome in some way and make it a teachable moment?
Oh God, there's so many. I think maybe this is kind of a more general answer, but I think you're thrown so much during production, no matter what. I don't care if it's the easiest shoot in the world, something is going to go wrong and something is going to surprise you. And I think I got to make this movie with one of my best friends. And I think having that confidant and that trust is my biggest advice. Finding, I think there's an instinct when you're producing to look up and to try to say, oh, well, I want to work with Quentin Tarantino, or I want to work with Greta Gerwig. And I think looking to your left and looking to your right and seeing who the people are in your life, I think that's the best way to approach it, because with all of the challenges, as you're learning, you get to learn with someone else who loves and respects you. And so I think that's my best advice.
That's great advice. I think Issa Rae has said something similar in interviews, so it's good for other people to learn that as well. So for my final question for each of you, a lot of the fan interest in your monster comes from the fact that Melissa Barrera is the star. So would each of you be able to share something that was specifically unique about working with her compared to the many other great people that you've worked with in your careers?
Working with her as a scene partner aside, watching her work, she is so specific. Like she said, if she wasn't an actress, she would be a script supervisor. You'd be on set with her and she was like, hi, I'm sorry, that chair was actually at a 45-degree angle, not a 65-degree angle. If we could just turn it. She's so aware of everything going on, so aware of the camera. And then once action is called, she's completely set free. And I loved watching that aspect of it. And also she's just so beautiful on camera. So that was cool too.
Yes. Yeah, she's incredibly inventive. I'm thinking of one scene in particular where she chews me out on stage. I don't think that's giving anything away. And she made up almost all of that on the day. And yeah, she was so free and huge and powerful and terrifying in that scene. Yeah, she's great.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I had a great time watching this. It was very cathartic. I live in a perpetual state of my feminine rage era, so it was a perfect fit for me. And, again, thank you for both of the work that you've put into this.
Okay, and before you go, Grease and Josie and the Pussycats, go off, Queen.
It's Grease 2.
Oh my God, even better. Even better. Iconic.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So that's the way it's gonna be now, huh, Miss Independent?
Yeah, independent. I kiss who I want, when I want.
I had a lot of fun with this film because I live in a perpetual state of feminine rage, so it was a very well-suited match. But I do want to foray into some spoilers because I really want to pick your brain about this story. So I watched it and I went, oh, Monster is Laura and Laura is Monster. The love story is a story of self-love. Did you always intend to play with surrealism when you were developing the film's narrative?
Yes. This was always from the very beginning a story about self-love. It's based on an experience of mine, a personal experience where I fell in love with my own monster. This was always going to be a story about a woman falling in love with her inner beast. And in the world of the movie, he is a manifestation of her rage in the form of a handsome, charming closet monster. But yeah, it originated from, this very personal relationship I developed with myself. So it always came from this like weird, surreal, very internal place.
I want to quickly share one of my Letterboxd reviews of the film, which was Inception, but for the musical theater kids. And I described it as such because I feel like the ending is one of those endings where it could potentially be divisive in a fun way, where it gets people talking and arguing about, I think it means this and I think it means this. From your authorial perspective, is there supposed to be a clear, this ending means this, or is it kind of meant to be, I guess ambiguous could be the word, where people can interpret it in whatever way they see fit?
I personally like movies that leave endings open for interpretation. I think it's fun to debate about, what you think the director writer was intending to do, after the movie ends. So I always wanted to kind of make it like kind of open and ambiguous. I obviously have my own feelings about the ending and what I think happens. But yeah, I thought, how fun is it if everyone gets to leave the theater feeling something different about the ending, and they can, leave the story with their own specific relationship to, what happened, and they can decide for themselves.
Can you speak a bit about the importance of indie filmmaking, where you actually have the space and freedom to take risks and be more surreal and combine so many genres? Because it feels like something that would not happen with a lot of what you see with kind of these risk-averse, big budget studio films that maybe are a bit more corporate as opposed to artistic.
Independent cinema is the place to experiment, and that's the beauty of making a smaller budget film. Without the restrictions of a big studio, you can try things that are a little bit riskier, and it's scary for sure, because there's always that potential that you might crash and burn. But how fun is it to try something new? And I love romantic comedies, and I think that we're living in an age where the classic rom-com doesn't really fit and work for today's more knowledgeable audiences. So I thought this is a great, based on my own experience, like, I think this story could work really well by fusing all these different genres together and really trying something new. It's a classic story about a girl falling in love with something. It just happens to be she's falling in love with herself, and she's falling in love with the side of herself that she thinks is, shameful and grotesque in some way. And so it kind of lended itself to all these wacky genres that I thought could work together really well. And I think some people are probably going to really love that I combined a lot of genres, and some people are going to see it as different and scary and bizarre, and that's totally okay.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Caroline. Congratulations on the film, and to everybody who worked on it. And, it was fantastic to watch, and I hope that more people fall in love with it the way that I did.
Thank you. That means the world.
From this angle, I can see your back and your face simultaneously. That's how much I'm looking at you.
I'm a mess.
No, you're not.
I'm a disaster.
Oh.